Order, order. Question to the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, Julie Marson.
Number one.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Whilst the Northern Ireland economy does have its challenges, I am confident that it has a promising economic future. With the talent, great companies, entrepreneurial spirit, world-leading sectors and universities, as well as a world-class hospitality, leisure and cultural offerings. We will continue as a government to work with businesses, the Northern Ireland Executive and local partners to make sure that we not only get the economy back up and running, but are laying the foundations for a sustainable, growing and stable economic future.
Thank you. Julie Marson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In my local constituency, Hertford and Stortford, the Eat Out to Help Out scheme has been a massive success and given our local economy a huge boost. Would my right honourable friend let the House know what the uptake has been in Northern Ireland?
Thank you. I've not tested all of the venues in Northern Ireland that were taking part in Eat Out to Help Out, but I did do as many colleagues, I'm sure, around the House did their bit to support the sector. Comprehensive figures are not yet available, but I do know that over 1,500 restaurants in Northern Ireland signed up to the scheme in the first week of operation. I think highlighting just how important a scheme this has been to give people confidence to go out and businesses a chance to see their customers again.
2 and 3 withdrawn. We now go to Sir Geoffrey Donaldson with 2 questions.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Secretary of State will be aware that Northern Ireland businesses are concerned about the impact of the Northern Ireland Protocol, and businesses I've spoken to report very little or no progress on export health certificates for animal-related food products being shipped from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. This potentially means increased costs for Northern Ireland businesses, and those costs will be passed on to Northern Ireland consumers. What will the Secretary of State do to ensure arrangements are put in place to prevent this from happening?
Thank you, and I thank the Honourable Gentleman, Vice Honourable Gentleman, for his question. We do recognise the unique position of authorised traders, such as supermarkets with stable supply chains and comprehensive oversight of warehousing and the distribution operations, moving pre-packaged products for retail sales solely in Northern Ireland. So we are continuing to look at some specific solutions for the trade, working with the trade. EHCs and accompanying notes for guidance, I can say to him, will be made available from the 1st of November on the EHC form finder to allow exporters and certifying officers to familiarise themselves with the requirements.
Sir Geoffrey.
Mr Speaker, and can I follow that up with a question about the formal guidance that is required from the Government on the definition of unfettered access? Can the Secretary of State explain how a trader in Northern Ireland will get qualifying status in order to benefit from unfettered access in shipping goods from Northern Ireland to Great Britain and in the other direction? And what extra processes would a trader in Northern Ireland face if they did not have qualifying status? The Secretary of State will be aware this has significant cost implications for Northern Ireland businesses. Therefore, will he commit to discussing this matter urgently with his colleagues at the Cabinet Office to ensure that guidance is issued to Northern Ireland businesses on the definition of unfettered access as soon as possible?
Well, I can confirm that we are very keen to give as much guidance and information to businesses as early as possible. We are committed, as I've said before, to providing Northern Ireland's businesses unfettered access to the rest of the UK market. And I'm very clear about what this means. It means no import customs declarations as goods enter the rest of the UK from Northern Ireland. It means no safety or security declarations as goods enter the rest of the UK from Northern Ireland. No tariffs to be applied to Northern Ireland goods entering the rest of the United Kingdom in any circumstances. No customs checks, no new regulatory checks, and no additional approvals required for placing goods on the market in the rest of the United Kingdom. And for further reassurance, I can say to him that we will introduce legislation for unfettered access shortly, and we will continue to provide that future guidance.
Shadow Minister Curran-Smith.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I've listened very carefully to the very good question put by the member for Lagan Valley, but I don't think that will really reassure businesses. The Northern Ireland Affairs Select Committee was very clear about what we already knew, that the movement of goods from Britain to Northern Ireland will be subject to a number of administrative requirements, that businesses will trade at a competitive disadvantage, and consumers Our worry is about consumers in Northern Ireland are likely to see increased prices and reduced, as a result of this. And a real worry, the economic facts are that for a population of 1.9 million, the burden on British firms will be too much and they will cease wanting to export in large numbers to Northern Ireland. The export health certificates are a major concern and a major cost. Now, I think we'll check the record, I think what the Secretary of State has just said, that there will be more formal guidance. He has his own view. That is not an agreement, and there are additional costs. So what will the costs still be on those businesses?
Well, look, as I outlined, yes, I did say that notes for guidance will be available from the 1st of November this year. We are very clear as well that we are one single market, we are one customs union within the United Kingdom, and that's why we are very clear about the fact that we want unfettered and we will deliver unfettered access to Northern Ireland businesses to Great Britain. We have already said there will be some limited checks for Great Britain to Northern Ireland. We've announced the Trader Support Scheme, and I would just say to the Honourable Lady that the guidance that we issued just before the recess was warmly welcomed by Northern Ireland business, and we are continuing to work with them so that as we develop our processes as we go forward to make sure there is good, smooth, fast, efficient delivery, as the protocol outlines, that does not disrupt the lives of people in Northern Ireland. We do so in a way that works for business as well as the people of Northern Ireland.
SNP spokesperson, Kirsten Oswald.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. On the 7th of August, the Cabinet Secretary flew into Northern Ireland to announce a business package of £335 million. That money is apparently designed to alleviate the cost of border checks and Brexit red tape that the Prime Minister has repeatedly said does not exist. As a signed-up member of the Brexit Cabinet, can the Secretary of State assure Scottish businesses that this same level of financial support will be put in place to meet all the costs of Scotland being dragged out of the European single market?
The support package we put in place, which is £155 million for the IT systems we've outlined, £200 million for the Trader Support Scheme, is to recognise the unique situation of Northern Ireland, one that Scotland has a rather different position to. And I have to say I'm very clear that I think one of the things we'll be looking to deliver as we go forward is the ability for Northern Ireland to trade prosperously as part of the whole of the United Kingdom, something I'm sure that Scotland will benefit from as well.
We now have Claire Hanna online from Belfast South. Claire Hanna.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Minister, in light of the protocol, Border Force are currently recruiting jobs in Northern Ireland advertised as open to UK nationals only. In press this week, the Home Office claimed that this doesn't prevent those who identify as Irish applying, but would the Minister accept, as indeed the Home Office did when this previously happened in 2018, that the words Irish nationals are not eligible for reserved posts doesn't reflect the rights framework in the Good Friday Agreement? And will he ask the Home Office to rework the advertisement and the rules to make them compatible with Northern Ireland fair employment legislation?
I'm very happy to have a look at that. Obviously, as the Honourable Lady will know, the Home Office did outline an update to the citizenship situation so that we did rectify that situation for people however they wish to identify, so they can have the full rights that they wish to exert, but that's something I'll happily follow up on and come back to on.
Elliot Colburn.
Hi, Mr Speaker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The UK Government will never be neutral in expressing our unequivocal support for the Union, and we're committed to strengthening the links between our four great nations, levelling up the whole country. That is why the Prime Minister has created a Cabinet Committee on Union policy implementation, and our commitment to Northern Ireland is demonstrated in the £2.2 billion we've provided to help fight coronavirus, including an extra £300 million announced at the summer economic update.
Colburn.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And may I begin by welcoming today's news on same-sex marriage in Northern Ireland. Carshalton and Wallington residents have noted that next year that will be the centenary of the creation of Northern Ireland. So what plan does the Northern Ireland office have to commemorate the United Kingdom as we know it today?
Well, can I agree with my honourable friend on both points? And this centenary represents a significant national anniversary. In New Decade, New Approach deal, the government recognised that the centenary provided an opportunity to reflect on the past as well as to build for the future in Northern Ireland, across the UK and internationally. We committed to facilitating national recognition and international awareness of the centenary. On his recent visit to Northern Ireland, the Prime Minister announced the establishment of a centenary forum and a centenary historical advisory panel. This approach will offer us the opportunity to work with a broad spectrum of people to deliver an ambitious and exciting programme of events to mark this important national anniversary. Further details about the centenary programme will be set out in the autumn.
Secretary of State, number 10, from Rosie Cooper.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. There will be no new customs infrastructure in Northern Ireland, and we see no need to build any.
Now going up to sunny Lancashire with Rosie Cooper. Rosie Cooper,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With just 4 months left until the protocol comes into force, the National Farmers Union have warned that a clear lack of guidance is threatening the trade in agri-food products. That's Northern Ireland's largest import. So can the Minister clear one thing up? Will each agri-food product require an export licence certificate costing up to £200 or not?
As I've set out previously, the protocol does oblige both the UK and the EU to seek to streamline trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland and to avoid controls at Northern Ireland ports as far as possible. Discussions, as she may well know, are ongoing about the process by which this is conducted and their frequency. And we want to bring the level of checks down to a proportionate and pragmatic level, as we've outlined before, for agri-foods and live animals at Larne and Belfast. There have been checks of one form or another in place since, I think, about the 19th century, and that's what we're building on. But there will be no new infrastructure.
We have Dr. Philippa Whitford with a substantive.
Much, Mr. Speaker. If the Prime Minister has claimed there will be no checks or border controls for British goods entering Northern Ireland, what exactly are the new border posts at Northern Ireland seaports and airports for exactly?
Well, I'll answer the substantive and the supplementary together and just repeat what I said a few moments ago. There will be no new infrastructure in Northern Ireland for borders.
Now come to Julian Smith.
Item number 12, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With permission, I'll answer questions 12, 13 and 14 together. We do welcome the formal designation of the Department of Justice to provide administrative support for the scheme. Victims should never have had to go to court to see this progress. The Executive must now move to ensure that the scheme can be opened as soon as is practical, so that applications can be processed and payments made to victims who have already waited too long. Implementation of the scheme, including timescales for delivery, are a matter for the Northern Ireland Executive, but I look forward to seeing them progress this as quickly as possible.
Mr. Speaker, Paddy Cassidy, Raymond Trimble have died since this pension and payment scheme became law. Many other victims are extremely ill. Can I urge my right honourable friend to do whatever he can to provide confidence to the Executive that money will be forthcoming in the usual way through the block grant? And could he also do everything possible to dispel the horrendous myths that have been peddled over the last few weeks about this payment scheme? This payment scheme will benefit primarily civilians on both sides of the community that are desperate to have the recognition they have been promised.
My right honourable friend makes a good point, and I know he was intrinsically involved in driving forward this, and it is, I think, words fail me in terms of it should never have taken this long to get to this stage. It should never have taken a court case. He's quite right, the Northern Ireland Executive is funded for this through the block grant. He's also quite right that this is about recognising people who have suffered for far too long. And both he and at least 4 of the party leaders in Northern Ireland were keen to see this move forward. Thankfully now that will happen, and yes, I'll be giving all the support I can to Northern Ireland Executive that they need in order to see this deliver as quickly as possible.
On Randall.
Mr. Speaker, I also welcome the news that the Department of Justice has been designated to implement the victims' payment scheme, but does my right honourable friend share my disappointment that it took a court to tell Sinn Féin to stop playing politics and finally designate a department?
My honourable friend is right. I have consistently expressed my disappointment, to say the least, at the lack of progress in establishing this scheme, as has the First Minister and others. It was wrong for Sinn Féin to hold up the process of designating a department. I'm pleased it's now happened. It's just a shame it took a court case.
Ledger.
Last week, Sinn Féin's Martina Anderson described trouble victims applying for the Victims Payment Scheme as mainly those who fought Britain's dirty war or were involved in collusion. Will my right honourable friend join me in condemning these grossly insulting comments to the victims, many of whom live in my constituency?
Simple answer is yes. I think particularly people having waited so long to see an insensitive, ill-advised, inappropriate comment like that was the last thing anybody needed. It should never have been made in the first place. We should all be condemning that and moving forward to make sure victims get what they have morally and now legally been waited far too long for.
I come to the Shadow Secretary of State with the first of two questions. Louise Haig.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Can I begin by reflecting that this summer we lost the great John Hume, a peace campaigner and politician who more than any other is responsible for the peace these islands enjoy today, and I'm sure the whole House will join me in sending our deepest condolences to his extraordinary wife Pat, his family and our friends in the SDLP. Mr. Speaker, yesterday would have been the 40th birthday of Tim Parry, who along with 3-year-old Jonathan Ball was killed by an IRA bomb in Warrington in 1993. The Peace Foundation, set up in their name, supports victims of terrorism nationwide. But at the end of this month, that service will close unless ministers deliver on the funding they have promised in this House. In this week of all weeks, will the Secretary of State step up and secure the future of this vital service?
Well, I first would join the Honourable Lady in her comments about John Hume and his family. I was honoured to be able to attend the funeral, which was a great example of how something can be done so sensitively, delicately and appropriately, even at a difficult time such as COVID, and it was a real honour to be there. Look, as I said earlier on, I think there are a range of victims who have waited too long for things like victims' pensions and victims' payments. We need to see that moving on. We need to see a whole range of areas moving on. And I hope with the work we can do with the Northern Ireland Executive, not least of all with the introduction of the Independent Fiscal Council, we can see the Executive start to allocate their funding and move on with these projects.
Louise Hay.
Secretary of State may have misheard me. I was talking about the Warrington Peace Centre, which previously enjoyed funding directly from the Home Office, so I hope he will consider that and raise with his colleague, the Home Secretary. The father of Tim Parry, Colin, has also said on the anniversary of his son's 40th birthday that the appointment of Claire Fox to the House of Lords offends him deeply. Given her continued refusal to apologise for defending the Warrington bombing, can I ask, was the Secretary of State consulted on her peerage, and has he raised any concerns with his colleagues in Number 10?
Well, as I think has been outlined before, I think she sits as or will be sitting as a crossbench peer. She has already outlined her own answer to that, and I think I'll let her words deal with it themselves. I think one of the important things I will certainly be I'll talk to the Home Secretary about the issue she raised with the funding for the Warrington bombing. But I think one of the things we've seen over the last few weeks is there is still a need and a determination for us to ensure we keep a focus on security issues. And I would also want to just take a moment to also give huge credit to the PSNI and their partners, the amazing operation they ran just 2 weeks ago, arresting some 10 people, which is probably the biggest step forward we have seen in a generation in terms of ensuring the peace and security of people in Northern Ireland as we go forward.
We're now heading to Dorset to Chair of the Select Committee, Simon Hoare. Simon Hoare.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My right honourable friend is right to draw attention to the £150 million set aside in New Decade, New Approach with regards to legacy resolution issues. But the funding of the pension scheme is of concern to all parties, as it was to the Select Committee. Can my right honourable friend confirm that he will ensure that through the block grant, monies which are required on top of the £150 million will be forthcoming so that justice can be paid in a full and timely way?
Secretary of State.
Well, as I said earlier, my honourable friend, the Chair of the Select Committee, is absolutely right. The Northern Ireland Executive this is something that is devolved. It is for them to pay for through the block grant. Those discussions will go ahead in the normal way. But it is also something that, as I say, there is, with the money that is already there, this is something that the Executive can be moving on with, start getting this process going, start getting these payments out to the people who have already waited too long.
Jim Shannon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can also thank the Secretary of State for all he's done for the Victim Pensions Fund, but I can also ask the Secretary of State to outline what steps have been taken to claw back the money from Sinn Féin that was spent on the court case that took place solely due to Sinn Féin's refusal to do the right thing and to appoint a minister to oversee the Victim Pensions Fund. Sinn Féin should pay the fees, the legal fees.
Well, the court was clear that the Executive, through the actions of not designated department, which was down to just the Deputy First Minister refusing to designate, was acting illegally. He puts forward an interesting proposal that I'm sure that the Finance Ministry, in terms of wanting to make sure that Northern Ireland's finances are well spent, will consider properly.
Alistair Carmichael.
Number 18.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With permission, I will answer questions 18 and 19 together. At the end of this year, the process of transition to our new relationship with the EU will be completed. I and colleagues across the Cabinet are determined to ensure that Northern Ireland benefits fully from the opportunities that will bring.
I'm sure that all in business will welcome the announcement from the Secretary of State that there will be guidance given to all those trading in Northern Ireland by the 1st of November. But can he explain to the House how you formulate guidance for the implementation of a deal that has not yet been done? Or will that guidance be written on the presumption that will be no deal?
Secretary of State.
As we have done with the guidance that we outlined just before just at the time the House broke for summer recess, we've done that in conjunction with our partners in businesses across Northern Ireland through the business engagement forum that we've put together. So we are consulting with businesses about what they need to live on the protocol, and that protocol does give confidence to businesses about what will be in place next year.
Alan Kearns.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does my right honourable friend recognise that the UK internal market is the cornerstone of simplicity in terms of uncertainty, in terms of attracting investment to all parts of the United Kingdom, and any detractors from the government's plan and policy to maintain the integrity of the UK internal market will be undermining the potential investments in their community?
Secretary of State.
Absolutely right. My honourable friend makes a hugely important point. The UK internal market bill is something that will outline that integral structure of the United Kingdom as one customs union, one single market that gives confidence to businesses and to investors for the benefit of all of our economies.
Dr. Andrew Morrison.
Both I and ministerial colleagues speak regularly with counterparts in the Irish Government. The protocol itself provides for a practical solution that avoids a hard border on the island of Ireland in all circumstances, including in the event that we do not agree a free trade agreement, whilst ensuring that the UK, including Northern Ireland, can leave the EU as a whole.
Andrew Morrison.
Very grateful to the Secretary of State. He will know that small and medium-sized enterprises having business across that border are in a state of uncertainty at the moment, given what is potentially going to hit them in 4 months' time. Given that, the Trader Support Service that was announced last month is particularly welcome. What discussion has he had with trade organisations in Northern Ireland about the Trader Support Service, and when does he anticipate the service actually providing services to SMEs?
Secretary of State.
I thank my honourable friend. He's absolutely right. We have had continuing engagement with businesses, as well as not just myself, but ministerial colleagues, the Business Secretary and the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster have both been in Northern Ireland engaging with businesses and representative organisations, as is my colleague, the Minister of State, and we will continue to do that, and we aim to have this scheme running in September.
John Morrissey.
Question 21, Mr. Speaker.
Thank
Minister
you,
Walker.
Mr. Speaker. Self-isolation exemptions have been in place since the 5th of July for the whole of the United Kingdom for all international cast and crew working on qualifying TV and film productions. We've worked closely with the Northern Ireland Executive and the film and TV industry, which has been a major success in Northern Ireland and represents a significant part of its economy, estimated to be worth £270 million a year. This has seen important projects such as the Northman and Line of Duty restart filming, bringing significant investment to Northern Ireland's economy.
John Morrissey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does my right honourable friend agree that the quarantine exemption arrangements could be the catalyst for reigniting the Northern Ireland film industry, where 49 locations were used for Game of Thrones, including Winterfell? And although the days of House Stark have passed, I hope that this exemption will allow for Northern Ireland to continue to be a beacon for the film industry across the world.
Walker.
Well, my honourable friend is absolutely right, and as I said, over the summer we introduced those exemptions, and we absolutely recognise what a crucial and important sector this is, and the benefits of its success can be seen across Northern Ireland, not least for the tourism industry. And local success stories such as Game of Thrones and the Derry Girls benefit every part of Northern Ireland. Programmes like The Fall have firmly established Northern Ireland as an ideal destination for film and TV projects, and the restart of filming in significant projects shows that this industry can continue to achieve global success.
Stephanie Peacock.
Question number 22, Mr. Speaker.
Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With permission, I will answer questions 22 and 23 together. The Government recognises that this industry is key to Northern Ireland's economic success, with the sector in Northern Ireland valued at over £1.8 billion. Like many sectors, aerospace has come under immense pressure during the pandemic. This is why we put unprecedented levels of support into place through the Job Retention Scheme and the Bank of England's COVID Corporate Finance Facility. Last week, I met with Bombardier at their short site and stratospheric platforms to discuss the challenges and opportunities for developing that sector and how the UK Government can support their success.
Stephanie Peacock.
Ministers seem to be doing little more than shrugging their shoulders as the UK's world-leading aerospace sector goes to the wall. When will they step in with sector-specific support?
Minister.
Well, I'd say to the Honourable Lady that the UK Government has made available £2.1 billion to the UK aerospace sector through the COVID corporate financing facility and additional flexibility for UK export finance, which is supporting £3.5 billion of sales in the next 18 months. But I continue to work closely with my colleague, the Aerospace Minister, my honourable friend for Stratford-on-Avon, and I'm determined that we do support the businesses in Northern Ireland as across the UK.
Gavin Robbins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I do trust that the Minister's visit was successful to Bombardier last week. He knows how important aerospace is to the Northern Ireland economy, but he also knows that there's a cliff edge coming in the job retention scheme and the support that's there for our aerospace sector particularly. He also knows that should redundancies continue, should the situation get worse, the skills will be lost and they won't come back. So the time is coming. The talk is talk. We need to see action, and we need to see a bespoke package of support for aerospace in Northern Ireland and across the United Kingdom.
Minister.
Well, I absolutely sympathise with the point the honourable gentleman is making and the crucial importance of this sector and its skills to his constituency. And the COVID-19 outbreak has seen a severe impact on aviation and aerospace industries around the world. The UK Government has provided significant support to the sector, including the Business Interruption Scheme and the Job Retention Scheme. The Chancellor has confirmed that commitment remains in place until October. But one of the things I discussed with Bombardier in my visit last week is the vital importance of maintaining that skills base, and that is a point I will absolutely take to colleagues across government.
Sharon Murray.
Question 24, please, Mr. Speaker.
Thursday.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The threat from dissident Republican terrorism does continue to be severe in Northern Ireland. The government's first priority is to keep people safe and secure across the UK. Terrorism, paramilitary violence and criminality have no place in Northern Ireland. They must not hold us back from progress towards a peaceful and prosperous future. And as I said earlier on, thanks to the hard work and professionalism of the Police Service of Northern Ireland and their partners, 10 people have recently been arrested and charged with a range of terrorism offences under the Terrorism Act. These arrests are the biggest step in tackling violent dissident Republicans in Northern Ireland in a generation, and I thank the PSNI for their work.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What action has the government taken to protect those who provided security in Northern Ireland, both in the police and military, from vexatious historic accusations?
Thursday.
Thank my honourable friend for her question, and we as a government are clear. We will put an end to vexatious claims against our brilliant armed forces. We are also determined to address the legacy of the Troubles, as I set out in my written ministerial statement on the 18th of March, and we will deliver on that.
That's the end of Northern Ireland.